Well, hello again, Sharlene Styles here, your nutritionist and holistic health coach. This is part two to answering some questions from a recent presentation that I did at a company regarding women's health, metabolism, hormones, and menopause. So if you've watched the first video, that's awesome. And if you're here to see if your question is answered, that's great. It may be in here too, or maybe you're just finding this video by, I don't know, scrolling through or binge watching Charlene's stuff, and welcome if that's who you are. So I'm just going to continue the questions to get through the list of questions in the chat that I didn't get to in the presentation the other day. I talked about mineral testing, and the question was, where do we do this mineral testing? So I quite often do it in my practice. It's a hair tissue mineral analysis. This shows us mineral patterns that affect our energy, our hormones, our thyroid, and so much more. So it gives us an analysis of deficiencies, nutrient deficiency, micronutrient deficiencies, and also excesses, usually in the heavy metal department or also in minerals. So there are many other options of testing that are available today for different sources. But if you are dealing with a functional or natural health care practitioner, I think it would be worth asking them if they can do mineral testing for you. This is becoming more prevalent in the natural health world. Or I can certainly help you. This is not something that I would do first personally. I would make sure that the basis, the foundation is built first. And partly the things that we talked about, one, in the presentation, but two, also in the last video about, balancing blood sugar first, healing your gut, um, getting adequate amount of sleep and rest and building muscle. These are like step one before we go into the micronutrients, because if we're just trying to, um, you know, correct the micronutrients without the macro stuff, it's just going to take that much longer. So I personally don't start that way. I don't know if everyone works that way. That's just my system, which I find that works. So I would say you can get yourself tested with someone who is trained to help you analyze the results, because the testing itself is fairly simple. You can snip some hair, you send it into a lab. It's a pretty cool process what they do and how they interpret what our cells it's a record of a history of our cells. Rather than when we test blood is like one split second in time when we take the blood test, right? And blood is operating from a homeostasis perspective. Our blood always needs to be balanced because that's what the body is trying to do to keep us alive and surviving. Whereas the tissues give us a history of where the imbalances are. So it's like a recording of what's actually going on. So the test itself is very simple to do. It's the interpretation of the results, which is pretty complex, and takes someone that's qualified to understand how all of these nutrients actually interrelate and correlate to one another and oppose each other. And then the next step from there is, then how do we rectify the issue? So I personally deal with a company in the US. I know my Canadian friends might be having whatever. I'm sorry, Canadians. You may not be so happy that we're using US companies, and I do. And the reason that I do is there's this beautiful company in the US that can create a custom blend supplement for my clients. So everything that they need in one powder or one pill. Well, a couple, it doesn't end up in one pill, but in a capsule form or in a powder form, versus me having to recommend whatever, 8, 12 different things. It just gets very pesky. So this company in the US makes it. And I'm sure there's companies around the world that do the same thing now, I would suspect, with technology today. But I've just found a really great partnership with a company in the US that I like to use. So please, if you are going to get this test done, work with someone that can help you interpret it and then rectify the problem, because the testing is just one piece of it. The other question was, can we use sweeteners like stevia? And yeah, and I will just say yes, of course. First of all, you get to do anything you want. You can eat anything you want. There are just some things that are going to be more supportive for you, less supportive, or not supportive at all, right? So good, better, and best. So natural sweeteners like stevia or even monk fruit that they're not going to spike your blood sugar. But what can happen is they can actually keep us in this craving loop. I don't know if you've ever experienced this yourself or noticed it, and maybe now that I mention it, you will. But there's this direct correlation between our brain and our gut, and as soon as our gut signals something sweet, it triggers a neurochemical release to our brain to desire more. This is this feedback loop. So this is why companies will put in sweeteners, even if you can't taste the sweetener, they'll put in the sweetener into the food, into their product, so that you desire more, so that you eat more of their products, so they sell you more of their products, so they make more profit. So this is no secret. But when we have a little bit of sweetness like that, regardless of what form it is, even if it's honey or maple syrup or stevia or monk fruit, the ones that don't actually raise your blood sugar, it can still get us into this desire for wanting more. So that would be my caution to you. Um, I would say the ideal here is not to, never have sweet again, but hopefully to, convert your taste buds in a way that you actually don't need them or rely on them. And it's really interesting once you cut out the sugar and the sweetness, like it's quite fascinating how when you have something sweet of like how ridiculously over the top sweet it tastes because your taste buds receptors change. So that would be my invitation for you is to experiment by seeing if you can help support your taste buds not to desire sweet. And the thing about sweet, being a health coach for this number of years, what I can tell you is this isn't a kind of a weaning kind of situation. Like you would want to wean off coffee gradually and slowly to support your nervous system and the cravings and all of the side effects that come with it. But with sugar, you got to pull the band-aid off. There's no other way. It's going to suck for 2 to 3 days, maybe 3 days, and then it's going to be fine. You're like you won't even look back, I assure you. So that would be my invitation to you. Another question was, should I stop drinking water before, during, or after meals? Yes, yes. So ideally, drinking water away from meals so that we don't dilute our hydrochloric acid, our stomach acid that helps us break down food. But, you don't have to be obsessive about it. If you have a small couple sips or small little glass of water with your meal, that's fine. I would just say don't guzzle it. Don't like down like sometimes I do, or have been known to like get my water in. So I just chug a whole bunch of water, and that's not the ideal time to do it. Is before or right after a meal. It would be in between meals. So. You can also, if you're trying to boost your digestion, is using some apple cider vinegar in some water to help your body break down the food. That would be helpful, or even bitters, digestive bitters, before eating would be helpful. Okay, I talked about blood sugar regulation, and that's one of the key, like it's the core, one of the core principles of supporting metabolic function and how we feel, our energy levels, etc. So I talked about how much glucose is circulating in the blood each day, and there was a question about that, I guess, just to clarify, how much is circulating in the blood every day? And surprisingly, it is a very small amount. It's 1 teaspoon at any given moment. And this is why blood sugar balance is really quite important and why it's so sensitive, right? So too much sugar from even healthy sources is going to spike this level, and that in turn triggers insulin to be released. And we know insulin is a fat storage hormone, so this is really what we're trying to avoid. So if we want to keep inflammation down, fatigue down, cravings down, we want to really focus on blood sugar control. So, if you've been wondering if your body is misaligned, if it's not performing the way that it used to, if you're frustrated and thinking it's broken or you're broken or something's wrong, I want you to hear this, that your body is always, always, always working to support you, and it is always listening. It's always responding and recalibrating to its environment, to the things that that is around it that you're putting into it. But it really is these signals and these symptoms that we're getting. These are little red flags waving, trying to get your attention to let you know that something is amiss or off or imbalanced, right? So it's not, even if you have a simple headache, like this is a sign. If you have hot flashes, if you have skin issues, if you have excess weight, these are all symptoms trying to get your attention to get your attention to notice the imbalances and for you to course correct. So, I will say that midlife menopause, this is certainly not a dead end. It really is a beginning, I think, of a new chapter or at least a turning point to perhaps just doing things a little differently than what you used to. And that I think where the frustration can come in is that we can get aggravated that things aren't working the way that they once did. And what our body is really asking for is a new, updated, upgraded way of support. And that's what I'll invite you to do. If you wanted to go deeper on personalized support, I'd love to connect with you. I do offer a 30-minute consultation that's complimentary. It's not a sales pitch. It's just really understanding what it is that you're struggling with, what's going on, what may be getting in your way. If I can help you, I can certainly explain how I can do that or perhaps point you in the right direction. That's really what this is all about. So I will say thank you. Thank you for being here and for trusting your body and knowing that with the right support and the right fundamental tools, it wants to thrive. It wants to operate optimally. It doesn't want to be sluggish. It wants to do all the things and be active and mobile and fit and healthy. So we just need to support it the best way that we can so that it can do its best job too. Also, thank you and bye for now and catch you hopefully in the next video. Bye.